I heard a term a couple weeks ago, which was good kid in recovery. And I swear when I heard it and I listened to the description, I started to cry because I felt so seen. So this woman was describing about the good kids in this recovery, um, who feel like they're a burden, who feel that they are never enough, who feel that they are like, who are always overachieving because they feel like their love is conditional. And I see a lot of that around me. And what I see is that a lot of them stay kind of in track based on the expectations of the people that surround them. And maybe a few try to seek their true path, which is hard. And because these kids that later are adults base their sense of love or their belonging, their faith in when everything goes well. When things don't go well, they feel lost. They feel
Right.
empty. They actually lose their faith. So my question is, and because you're such a spiritual person and put so much weight on meaning and significance, how can we help them, get back this sense of belonging, of being seen, but and overall of love that it's, I guess, the core of everything.
So that's a very deep question, both on the biochemical side and on the philosophical side. And I know you meant it from a philosophical perspective, but let me start with a little tiny bit of biology about this. There's an emerging body of literature that shows that people who are real strivers, the kid who's always doing the best, that they get their sense of reward from success. And now this is the same kind of reward, the same biochemical reward that people get from drugs and alcohol. This is all having to do with dopamine, which is the neuromodulator of the anticipation reward.
And we think it works.
And what we find is that in this new literature, that there's a lot of people who from a very young age get their sense of life satisfaction, their sense of reward, the sense of, the reward centers in the limbic system of their brain are activated. They're stimulated when somebody's telling them that they did a good job. When they get the reward when somebody pats them on the head, they get the cookie for getting an A in class, and then this usually goes on to become workaholism, success addiction, self-objectification. It's a lifelong addictive process. That's the first thing to keep in mind. So when you talk about the good kid syndrome, you're talking about a kind of an embryonic kind of actual biological addiction. That's usually facilitated by parents whose love kind of is conditional. And that leads to the second part, which we're really addressing. This is a relationship. Every addiction is a relationship. Some of you on this call have had trouble with alcohol. How do I know that? Because the statistics don't lie. A lot of people do. And when you're trying to stop drinking, you notice that you feel bereft of a sense of love in your life. Why? Because an addiction is something that reliably loves you. That's how you get a sense of the satisfaction that comes, the fulfillment that actually comes. The way to stop an addiction, a chemical addiction, I mean, there's lots of things that you need to do. You need to go to rehab, and et cetera, et cetera. But the most reliable way to get away from a chemical addiction is to have more love in your life. This is the reason that heroin addicts can't kick the habit unless they have somebody who truly loves them. Okay, back to the case at hand. How does a good kid go into recovery? By having somebody who loves her unconditionally. That's it. That's how you do it. Because you need somebody's love even when you don't actually get that hit of success. That's actually the way that it gets done. And that's what you need to be around the people who give that to you. You need to demand that from the people who can actually provide that to you. You need to be in a relationship with the people who don't only love you because of the success that you can bring, the money that you can bring, the fame that you can bring, whatever it is that you can bring that's exogenous.